How much money do you need to get by here in Da Nang, Vietnam every single month? I've spent the last month here, and in this video I'm going to share exactly what I've spent, how much I think you need to get by, and how much I think you need to thrive. I'm going to share all them figures at the end of the video, and I'm going to share with you things like accommodation, food, other costs that you might not have considered, insurance, transport, and everything in between. So is Da Nang as affordable as people say it is? And more importantly, does the cost give you a good quality of living? The first expense on this list is going to be the biggest expense for most people, and that is accommodation. I'm currently paying 500 US dollars, or around about 370 English pounds per month for a large room in a hotel. Hotels here will often give monthly rates. I'd encourage most people coming here longer term to book an apartment because the cost will be cheaper. And if you book through Airbnb and you book well ahead, you'll get a monthly rental rate as well, so the discount will come down. We booked quite last minute, so that wasn't an option for us. Airbnb, most of them were already rented out, and the ones that weren't were quite expensive. Now with that $500, we get our rooms cleaned when we want, we get daily water, only 2 small bottles, so you'll still need to buy some, and we get the security and assistance of being in a hotel where we can get the support of the staff if we need it. When shopping around, there were places a lot more than ours, and there were some places a little bit less. If we wanted an apartment, the cheapest place we found was 4.5 million dong per month, around 200 US dollars, a little bit less than that. We also found places that were a little bit bigger of apartments that were around 300 to 400 US dollars. And then if you want something very nice, you could shop around and get a little bit more. The next thing on this list is my biggest expense. This probably won't be the biggest expense of most people, but it is mine, and that is food. Now I eat quite a lot of food, but more importantly, I eat quite a lot of meat and protein, which is always going to be more expensive. I budget for around 20 US dollars per day. Some days that might be around 10 US dollars, but accounting for the weekend, nicer meals out and bigger hits of protein, I average around 20 US dollars per day on food. You could get by on a lot less than that, especially if you're eating things like pho or banh mi and you're on a much lower budget. But for budgeting for around 20 US dollars per day, for me, suits me very well to eat nicely, get a high amount of protein, and have a variety of both local and Western food. Worth mentioning on that too, if you're a coffee lover, the coffee here is unreal. I don't drink it, but it's cheap and it's good. But little costs like that do add up over the month, so they're worth putting in your budget. Some people won't account for that and they'll just say food, or they'll just say accommodation. But think about if you're having 1 to 2 coffees a day and they're $1 to $2 a time, quickly over the month that might add to $100 or $200 if you're drinking them regularly. And if you're going for an oat soy chai matcha latte with sprinkles on top, it's soon going to add up. The next one's a quick one, but it's an essential one, and that is drinking water. You can't drink from the taps here in Vietnam, so it's something that we want to account for. If you're active, if you're sweating a lot, if you're training a lot, you're going to need more water. If not, then maybe you'll need a little bit less. I spend somewhere in the region of 25 to 35 US dollars on water per month. Then we've got the fitness side of things. So I spend £12 on my gym membership. You can pay around about $1 or $1.50 for a single entry into a gym. But if you want to pay for a month, my simple but very effective gym that I pay for is £12 or 15 US dollars per month. It's got most things I need. It's not a 10 out of 10, but for that price, it's pretty good. Again, if you wanted to save more money, they've got some gym equipment down at the beach that you could go down and just use that. Or if you're a runner and you just do body weight training, you could just train body weight and run down by the beach and save yourself money. So that's an expense I pay for. Maybe not everyone needs to. I also play pickleball here 2 to 3 times a week. That comes to around about $6 to $8 every single week. And then I'm having private one-to-one Muay Thai sessions that I have 1 to 2 times per week, let's say an average of 6 times per month. That comes to just around 100 US dollars per month. Then unless you want to walk around with dirty clothes on 24/7, you're gonna need to do some laundry at some point. This is ridiculous value. For the month, I'm paying around $8 US dollars to get my clothes washed and dried. And they're back with you in less than 24 hours. Quite often, if you give it to them in the evening, it's done by the morning, so around 12-hour turnaround. And for the month total, $8 for around 1 wash per week. which is insane value. Now, the next cost on this list is transport. I've got a scooter here. I pay £90 for the month, or about $120 for the month for my scooter. Now, when I went into the shop, there was a motorbike there, a semi-automatic motorbike, looked brand new, a Yamaha, maybe PG1, I'm not sure of the name. It was £70 for the month, or around $90 for the month. The thing was borderline brand new. I rode it rode like a dream, but it wasn't really practical for two people, and it didn't have quite as much power as a scooter. But if you wanted, you could get a brand new motorbike here for $90 per month, which is mental. And that brings me on to the fuel. The fuel, I pay around $8 per month on the fuel, and I'm constantly riding. The fuel here is very, very cheap, and I can't imagine anyone is going to spend much more than $10 to $15 on fuel per month if you're riding a scooter, and even if you're riding it regularly. Now, I also account for taxis, and I've probably spent $10 to $15 in the past month on taxis. Things like if you're having a couple of beers, things like if you're driving in rush hour at the weekend, I leave the scooter at home just for a nice change and just to relax a little bit more. So that's another expense that maybe you could avoid. And to be honest, Da Nang is quite flat. You could get around here by walking or cycling and save yourself some money. Or if you weren't going very far and you were only walking down to the beach to use the exercise equipment, or walk into your gym, or walk into your local cafe, you could save money there again. So pretty much everything on this list could be manipulated up or down a little bit. Now, there's a few things on this list that you might not have thought of, and I'm going to get onto them in a minute. But first, if you are working here or here longer term, you're going to need a phone. For my phone contract, for 10 gigabytes per day and 20 local minutes per day, I pay $13 per month, or around £10. So the data isn't for the whole month. You don't get 300 gigabytes per month, you get 10 gigabytes per day. Just something to consider if you were ever hotspotting off your phone, uploading a YouTube video, for instance, or doing a lot of streaming. The data is per day, and then we'll reset the next day. You don't get it all in one hit. But for that value for the month, unreal. Again, very, very cheap in my opinion. Now, on to the things that you might not think about when budgeting, or when going away longer term, or when going to a place longer term. For example, I've got some expenses outside of things on this list, like subscriptions to things, like business costs, such as the coaching software I use for my health and fitness clients, Spotify subscription, Apple Cloud. These things do add up. And on things like this, I spend somewhere in the region of $200, and that is recurring fees. So that's not accounting for things that I might need to spend that come out every quarter or every month or every 6 months. This is recurring that I have to spend every month. You might not have any of these, but I would assume most people have at least some subscriptions or some kind of software that they're using, especially if you're a digital nomad, that is going to be an expense each month. So don't ignore these and account for them when you're budgeting. I've had only one night out in the last month, and that was in Hoi An, and I spent around £30 or $40. So that's in the budget. If you like going out more often, obviously account for it, but you could still make it super cheap if you did like to go out and drink regularly. Another thing to think about is travel insurance or health insurance. If you're in the older demographic, you're going to want something a bit more extensive. If you're in the younger demographic, you just probably want something that's more emergency based. Each month I pay $60 for my travel or health insurance to keep me covered, and that's a digital nomad insurance that I use on a monthly rolling subscription, which allows me to travel to multiple countries and still be covered. Now, for a couple other random expenses, we recently went to the dentist and got a checkup and a clean. That came to $12. Then a few miscellaneous things like haircuts that cost me around $5 per time or $6 per time. Things like beach towels or renting a sunbed at the beach to lay on. All of these things add up, and over the month I spend just under $50 on these kind of little things that you might not usually think of. So the grand total for what I've spent over the past month is £1,300, or US dollars, $1,682. So I believe you could get by here in Da Nang, Vietnam for $800 to $1,000 per month. Would you be living the best? Probably not. You would be eating more local food. You may have to walk most places. You might not have certain things like a gym membership, but you could definitely get by here, and you wouldn't go without too much. However, in my opinion, you would want more like $1,200 as a baseline to live still a relatively comfortable life, be able to get around and have a variety of food. Now, if you were coming here for 1 to 3 months like I have, where you can't get things set up long term, so you have to spend a little bit more for short-term rentals and other things that you can't commit to in the long term, $1,500 would be around about a good target. If you're on your own, bear in mind that you're going to have to pay your full rent. If there's 2 of you, you can split your rent straight away, so you save money there. But between $1,500 and $2,000 per month, you'll be living very nicely here in Da Nang, Vietnam. A huge perk of coming to a place like this for me is not about saving as much money as I can. It's about having a better quality of life, knowing that the money I do spend, the additional money I do spend, is going to support local businesses as well. It's going to support the economy, and it's going to allow for me to live a better life than what I probably could back home, or at least in most countries. So let me know, is that more than what you thought it would be here in Da Nang? Is it less than what you thought? Is it about the same? What would you cut out from my expenses? What do you think is unnecessary for you? And what do you think that you would spend on that maybe I haven't spent on? At the end of the day, everybody is different with their spending. Everybody is different with their budgets. Everybody is different with what they like to spend their money on and how much they need each month to get by. I could go without many of the things that I spend on each month. However, I like those things, and they help me be a better person, live a better life, take care of my body, and generally just enjoy the things I like to enjoy and have a balanced lifestyle that serves me. Guys, if you found any value in this, do me a favor and just hit the subscribe button. If you disagree with anything, please let me know in the comments. Let me know how much you spend per month, or how much you plan to spend when coming to Da Nang. I hope you found this video useful. I hope you enjoyed it, and until the next one, peace.